Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I would like to call this Thursday, November 9th, 2023, meeting of the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Board of Directors to order. First of all, we'll verify attendance of directors. I'll note that Commissioners Jones and Gibbons, Councilmember Piedmont Smith, myself are present in the Nat U Hill room, and Dan Swafford, Board Member Dan Swafford, is on Zoom. So we do have an in-person quorum, but we will be operating by hybrid rules. So next we have the Executive Committee meeting minutes from October 5th, 2023. This is not a voting item. Do you have anything you want to bring to our attention?
No, not specifically, just for they're provided for information purposes.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody have any comments or questions about the Executive Committee meeting minutes? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to the approval Board of Directors meeting minutes from October 12th, 2023. This is a voting item. Anything you want to bring to our attention on the minutes?
The necessary corrections from the Executive Committee meeting are in the version in the board meeting packet.
Great. Does anybody want to make any comments or questions on the minutes? I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I move approval of the Board of Director meeting minutes for October 12, 2023.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Could you please do a roll call vote?
McKim?
Yes.
Githens?
Yes.
Piedmont Smith?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Swafford?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. All right, we will move on to the Controller's report, and we'll begin with cash flows.
The operating balance, the cash flow summary is on page 9 of your packet. And the operating balance as of October 30th was $3,761,441.11. The October 30th balance in the savings account was $0. As we have discussed previously, that was moved to the operating account. The closure bond debt was $21,133.57. The capital account was $45,667.41. And the landfill post-closure account was $750,723.21. The individual cash flow statements for each of these are on pages 10 through 15 of your packet. And the operating fund graph is on page 12. There were some questions on the cash graph at our last meeting. I just want to let everyone know I did review everything from the beginning of the year, and there were just first of all, I want to clarify that the cash graph is only reflective of the operating account balance. I think there was a question about that. There were a couple of issues in the prior reporting. The first is that the transfer of the savings account back to the operating was not reflected, basically just due to the way Harris has things set up. So that's been corrected. The second issue is that the cash flow graph has been updated by various people since the beginning of the year, just due to turnover and this and that. So some of the people were updating the graph with the actual cash balance, and some are using the cash flow statement balance, in essence, our reconciled balance. I've revised all the balances listed for 2023 on the cash flow graph using the cash flow statement balance or the reconciled balance. I think this is much more reflective of our actual balance at the end of the month, taking into account the outstanding checks and those kind of things. I think the biggest concern is just that we keep this consistent in the way that we're doing that. I do have that rectified at this point where everything is consistent and it's revised. Are there questions on the account balances or the cash graph?
Thank you. Any questions from the left? From the right? From Zoom? No, thank you very much for that. So we'll move on to the payroll and claims.
On page 16 of the packet, you have a total for the payroll and claims approved since our last meeting in the amount of $188,696.89. Documentation for those claims follows in the packet on pages 17 to 34. And yesterday, I emailed you claims that we paid this week in the amount of $53,604.90, which were all claims for board approval. That brings the total of all the payroll and claims that we're recommending for approval to $242,301.79, as reflected on the payroll and claims summary that was included with the email yesterday. Questions on the claims?
Questions? Please.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Martin. I just had a question about the payment to Hobbs Equipment. It's page 18 of the packet, claim number 8. So first there's $320, and then there's $4,115. That larger amount, how many months of rental does that include? That's kind of an unexpected amount for Hobbs rental.
No, I'm still trying to get to that, and I don't know the answer to that off of my head.
That is 1 month, but it is also 13 or 14 units.
Of compactors?
We have 3 compactors at all of our, I guess it'd be 14 compactors. We have 3 compactors at all 5 facilities. 14 of those are leased from Hobbs Equipment, and one of the units, which I believe is the original compacting unit at South Walnut, is leased from Mueller Compacting.
Okay. I guess I didn't go back and compare. I just, in my memory, it had not been that high. So that's 1 month. Then what is the previous line for $320?
I honestly don't know. I think
I'm sorry, I had it. That is the one one of the units at South Walnut is from Hobbs, and then all of the and that's the 320, and then the $4,115 is for the 12 units at the 4 sites.
So really, the 320 should have just been labeled South Walnut.
In the docket, you'll notice in the account number, that first number 04, that equates to the South Walnut Recycling Center. The 06 number is the rural sites department.
Okay, so it's about $320 per compactor per site, give or take?
No, I would actually, because they're all, each unit is on its own lease, and they were acquired at different points in time. And so based on when they were acquired and the market at that time, they are not all the same monthly rental cost.
Okay. So we have 12 plus 1 reflected here.
I'm sorry?
12 compactors in the larger line and 1 in the smaller line.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks. Other questions on payroll and claims? On the left? From Zoom? No? Oh, okay, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't look at the ones that were emailed yesterday. Does that include, do any of these include payment for that truck, that new?
Yes, the claims emailed out yesterday do include a payment for the second new truck we did the additional appropriation for in April. Because that dealership is not on the vendor list, that has to be approved at a board meeting. So that payment, which is a little over $52,000, is in the claims that were sent yesterday. That truck is at the dealership. Still waiting to get a couple of our options, a lift gate and a winch specifically installed on that before we can take delivery on it, but we anticipate that happening in the near future.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm glad it arrived.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of payroll and claims.
I move approval of payroll and claims as presented in the Board of Directors meeting packet, in addition to the emailed claims from yesterday.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Thanks. No one else has any comments or questions? We'll do a roll call vote, please. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, we'll do public comment. Is there any member of the public who'd like to make comment on payroll and claims? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Jones,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes,
Piedmont Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
great, thank you. Okay, so now we have Resolution 2023-18 to establish the 2024 district holiday schedule.
As we do every year, and unfortunately, it's kind of a complicated resolution because of the varying operating schedules of our different facilities. The resolution includes 3 different holiday schedules, one for the administration building, one for the South Walnut facility, and one for the rural sites. As we've historically done, in an effort to equal out the amount of paid holiday time employees get, we relate everything back to the amount of time the administration employees are getting, because that tends to be the department that gets the most number of holidays because of the varying schedules. You can see on page, page 36 of the packet, I believe, does have a chart showing that comparison of how the holiday schedule breaks down by the differing employee schedules that we have. And you see that resulting in 3 different schedules of floating holidays provided to South Walnut employees based on their schedule rotations, and 6 floating holidays being provided to the Friday, Saturday site operators. And then all relating back and based on the administration proposed holiday schedule, which does mirror the holiday schedule adopted by Monroe County.
That is a very complicated holiday schedule. That's for sure. Okay, any comments or questions from the right? Or from the left? Or from Zoom?
Nope.
All right, is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of Resolution 2023-18, Monroe County Solid Waste Management District, to establish the 2024 district holiday schedule.
We have a
Second.
Motion and a second. Okay, no other comments or questions? We'll do a roll call vote.
Public comment?
Oh, sorry, I had actually already asked for public
Oh, I'm
comment,
sorry,
but
I
okay,
missed.
we'll ask again. Any other members of the public want to?
I was writing, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I jumped the gun. So no, we'll do a roll call vote.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have this is not a voting item, although it could possibly impact the next voting item. And that is a discussion on the compensation for the executive director. And I just want to note for the record that this is a topic that was brought up by members of the executive committee. This is not something that the executive director himself has brought up. I know it puts any official in an awkward position to be discussing their own salary, but just want to let everybody know that this was something that was brought up by the executive committee. So first of all, I think that this was spurred by the general thought that the executive director was being undercompensated compared to his peers at other solid waste management districts. And thank you, Commissioner Githens did a whole bunch of research, pulled data from Gateway and other sources on both the salaries of comparable solid waste management districts. She pulled information from their websites. We had the council office, the county council office also get a couple of updated salaries that Gateway didn't have. And so Commissioner Githens put together a spreadsheet that she handed out here that has the information for Monroe County, Bartholomew County, Johnson County, and Hamilton County, which we felt were probably the most comparable solid waste management districts. It's tough because, as we learned, there's no such thing as a truly comparable solid waste management district. Everyone has a little bit different set of services that they provide, and number of employees and so on. So Commissioner Gibbons, I don't know, do you want to say anything else about the spreadsheet that you've made available? Does Mr. Swafford
He has what was emailed out, I hope.
okay.
And that has an incorrect 2022 salary for Mr. McGlasson on it. That salary,
Wonder if, are you going to be taking a picture? Thank
I'll
you.
send
Okay.
okay.
Mr. Swafford will get you a copy of this momentarily.
And I have extra copies
Okay.
if they're members of the public. That I don't know what the policy is on that, but they wanted to see them. I would like to point out that the Bartholomew district, they actually contract, was it, you said with which,
For their landfill?
Yes.
The operation of their landfill is contracted out to Rumpke.
yes, okay. So that they don't actually oversee that. As we were discussing this in executive committee, we came to learn that there are different priorities in different districts. And so some of these districts, you'll notice they don't take trash, or if they take bulky items, they charge a fee. I was surprised that in Bartholomew, they have 2 remote centers, but they only operate on Saturdays. So I think that from what I could tell from their websites, what we do in Monroe County is probably the most extensive of anybody that we looked at. So I am in favor of providing more compensation, I guess, to Mr. McGlasson. I'm not sure what that should be at, but that's where I stand. Yeah.
Agreed. So do any members of the board want to provide any comments on the salary?
No, I just agree it should probably be adjusted.
Okay. And so what we're seeing, for example, Bartholomew County, which seems like it's as close a comparison as any. Now, they do have a landfill, but as was mentioned earlier, they contract the operations out. They have 22 employees compared to Monroe County's 27 employees. The Bartholomew County directors 2024 proposed salary is $80,942, and ours would be $73,814 if for the salary ordinance as currently written. Yes, please.
Yes, I also agree that our executive director's salary should be increased. I just wonder about the process at this point, since we have an approved budget for next year that is reflective of the $73,814 that's in the salary ordinance coming up. What would be the procedure to increase the salary at this point?
I mean, I have a thought on that. But
Yeah, because it doesn't really matter which employee or employees we're talking about. At this point, to increase salaries, it would be a simple matter of amending the salary ordinance before it's adopted. Now, then, once we get into next year, the potential exists that you have to seek an additional appropriation to cover that excess salary. I would note for the record, and again, I'm going to refer back to the health insurance line that we've talked about a couple of times already this year, that we did not request an increase for in 2024. I also just recently did get our renewal rates for our health insurance, and they were much better than anticipated. So I would anticipate that, most any increase the board would wish to consider for any position that's reasonable at this point, we would probably have excess appropriations in the personnel services category to cover that.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, if you were to do an additional, you'd wait till later in the year to see if there's if you're gonna run short. But I agree, there's,
Right, I mean, you do run the risk that something happens and you do have to seek that additional appropriation and it, for some reason, is not approved, you know, then you find yourself in a bind. But I don't anticipate for, you know, a reasonable increase to any of the listed positions based on what's currently proposed, that we would run into any issues.
okay. Let's see, Mr. Swafford, I don't know if you have any comments? or-
How much are we talking about the additional from the 2024? Are we talking like 10,000 more?
Well, I think we haven't, I don't think anybody's thrown out a number yet.
You're the first.
Yeah, actually, I think that would be a very fair number. And, you know, I've worked with Tom ever since he's been the executive or the director, and he's been very good, very thorough. So I support this 100%. So, and I would like to see at least a $10,000 raise from the proposed salary of 2024. And I think that kind of puts him right in the middle of Bartholomew and Johnson. And Johnson has about the same population, maybe 30K more. So, yeah, I think that's more than fair.
Okay. Other comments? Please.
About the comparisons, does Johnson County and does Hamilton County, do they have landfills? And are they open or closed landfills? Does anybody know?
What was the last part?
And are they open landfills or are they closed like ours?
To my knowledge, neither of those districts have a landfill. They have to deal with open or closed.
Okay, thank you.
There was nothing indicated about a landfill at their websites when I went through to see what they had.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Monroe County is the only one that operates the arts program that I could find too, which I find just delightful in so many ways.
I mean, I am proud of Monroe County's district. We are very mission focused. And I think we're willing to spend money on achieving the mission. So, anybody else have any comments? Any other number anybody would like to suggest?
Well, the official change of the figure would be
And the
as an
next.
amendment to the next
Correct.
item of business, right?
Correct. Yeah, okay, so, I mean, we've had the discussion, we can move on to the next item if nobody else has.
Do we need to come up with a solid number? I mean, this is kind of what I see here, in line with what Dan Swafford recommended. I would just be willing to bump that up to just around 84,000, just so it's an even number to talk about, especially when we go to the next part.
I agree with you.
Okay, well, so the way to handle that is let's just move on to the next item, and somebody can actually make a motion to amend that salary ordinance, and
Do we need to
And
have
then
a
we'll vote.
motion first on that and then a motion to amend?
yeah, we'll
We have to put this on the table first.
yeah, let's go ahead and can you introduce it, and then we'll take
Sure.
a motion,
Okay.
and then we'll take a motion to amend.
Resolution 2023-19 is an annual housekeeping measure for us. We do try to do the November meeting every year where we establish the maximum fixed salaries and wages for all district positions for the coming calendar year. As always, the wages presented in the resolution are based on the cost of living increase that was included in the now approved and adopted budget for 2024.
Great. Well, why don't we go ahead and have somebody make a motion to approve this ordinance, and then we'll take another motion to amend it.
Yes, I move approval of Resolution 2023-19, Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Ordinance for fixing salaries for calendar year 2024.
We have a motion?
Second?
A motion and a second. So any discussion and/or amendments?
Well, as was previously discussed, the salary of our executive director is quite low compared to other comparable districts, even districts that have no closed landfill to administer and fewer pickup facilities and not as many services as we have. So I think it is appropriate that we significantly increase our executive director salary.
So I move to amend the salary for the executive director and change that to $84,000 for 2024.
We have a
I
motion?
second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment specifically? Okay. Is there any public comment on the motion to amend the salary ordinance to the salary for the executive director? Okay. Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote on the amendment.
Roll call.
I'm sorry, roll call, sorry.
Can I clarify what the amount was?
84,000.
Okay. Okay. So vote on the motion to amend, correct? Jones,
Yes,
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Swafford.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're now back to discussing the amended resolution 2023-19. Are there any other comments or questions from the left? Or from the right? I think you're on mute.
I just wanted to share with my colleagues back of the napkin calculation I did. So I was looking at the community outreach coordinator, and I wanted to make sure that that position's salary was at least as much as the waste reduction specialist and the office manager. And it does come out to about $23.81 per hour. So it is more. So it's sometimes apples to oranges when we look at hourly rates versus annual compensation. And I just wanted to make sure that that position was adequately compensated. So I'm happy about that.
Thank you. That's good. Any other comments about the salary ordinance? Okay. Is there any public comment on the resolution 2023-19 salary ordinance? Okay, seeing none, we will do a roll call vote.
Jones,
yes,
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
McKim.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to resolution 2023-20, declaration of surplus property. This is actually a voting item, even though it's not marked so on the agenda.
As indicated in the memo on page 44, with the two truck purchases, the purchase of a new forklift, that has rendered some vehicles and equipment in our possession obsolete to the district. So we're asking the board that they be declared surplus property so that they can be resold, recycled, or reused in some way. Note the 2010 F-250 Super Duty is one of the pickup trucks being replaced, and the dealership that we're purchasing the truck that you just approved the payment for, they are offering us a $5,200 trade-in value on that truck. So we would, assuming the passage of this resolution, that truck will be traded in when we take possession of the new truck. Also would note that the Toyota forklift, we have had another local government entity expressed interest in that if it becomes available, and so we also think that could be moved on very quickly to another entity that has a use for it.
Fantastic. Any questions for Mr. McGlasson? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-20.
Yes, I move approval of Resolution 2023-20, Declaration of Surplus Property.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments from directors? Okay, so is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Githens,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Okay, this is also a voting item. So this is going to be Resolution 2023-21, a resolution to change the name of the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District to Waste Reduction District of Monroe County.
Yeah, so here we are, I guess the first part of the end game of rebranding the district. But you can see in the memo on page 47 and then again on page 48 that offer examples of the logos and the slogans that the subcommittee that's been working on the rebranding arrived at with our consultant, and asking the board to move ahead with that change to this resolution. The resolution is something that is required for the district to legally and fully change the name with regard to dealing with the IRS and the Secretary of State, banking institutions, and so forth. So,
Right. Are you in a position to put on the screen the logos, just so?
yeah, if you
Anybody
give
can
me
see
just
them?
a second, I can.
Okay.
There we go, get to where I can scroll pages.
Thank you, great. Yeah, this is really exciting, and I know this has been a long time in the making. So, before we move on to any discussion, I want to thank everybody who's taken so much time to work on this. I guess, are there any questions for Mr. McGlasson?
I think it would be appropriate to identify everybody who worked on that committee.
Please. Would you do
Certainly.
so?
From the board, Ms. Piedmont Smith was there as a board representative. CAC was a represented by Joe Winia and Ryan Edwards. Staff was represented by Ms. Elisa Pokral and myself.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks so much. This is really an exciting move forward. I think the new name is much more descriptive of the mission of the district, and I think it'll just be more communicative to the public. The vast majority of the public doesn't understand what solid waste management is. It's such a technical term of art that they think it's something that it isn't. So it's true.
I mean, I would just note for for the public's information, probably maybe some board members as well, that as we move through this process, assuming that the board formally approves the name change, obviously, district signage at the facilities is going to be replaced. We will, look to redo our website and have a new new URL, web address. have talked with the consultant, and we will maintain the rights to our current domain name and have things redirected, so people that continue to go to the gogreendistrict.com will get redirected to the correct site for a period of time. But there's a lot of things that are going to change over the next few months as we move this forward. And to echo some of Mr. McKim's comments, it's I think we all feel that it better reflects what our mission is. We think the logo and the Our World, Our Responsibility also encompasses the parts of our mission about environmental quality and mitigating climate change, and it's just we think just a much better representation of who we are, who we want to be.
Excellent. And from my perspective, none too soon, given the state of some of the signage at the rural recycling sites. I mean, Bethel Lane basically has no signage left. So.
Yes, we recognize that. Apologize that we have we have a number of things that have probably needed to be repaired, replaced, signage included, that knowing this was coming, we have just tried to hold off on.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Let's see. I will entertain a motion for approval of Resolution 2023-21.
I move approval of Resolution 2023-21, changing the name of the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District to Waste Reduction District of Monroe County.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any other comments from the left? Or from the right? Or from Zoom? Okay, is there any public comment? Yay, we have a member of the public.
Commenting even.
Joseph Winnia here, Chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and also served on the subcommittee for the rebranding process.
Sorry, can you just move your microphone?
Yes.
Sorry.
How is this better?
That's much better.
Okay. Joseph Winnia from the CAC, also worked on the rebranding subcommittee. Just wanted to say I express my gratitude for your consideration of this resolution, and just to say that I'm also very excited about the rebrand, and that I hope the whole board agrees, and I look forward to the new brand. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your service, as well as Councilmember Piedmont Smith on the committee. All right. Is there any other public comment? All right. Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote.
McKim,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you. Carry forth. All right. We now have one more voting item, and that's Resolution 2023-22 for an additional appropriation.
I apologize. This was kind of a late addition to our agenda because of the timing of when we received this invoice, but I had previously advised the executive committee that we'd received notice from Bank of New York Mellon that the annual agency related to our debt service bond would be increasing from $400 a year to $750 a year, without really indicating when that would take effect. And then at the end of October, we did get the bill for this year's agency fee, and it was, in fact, for $750. Not knowing that a year and a half ago when we prepared this year's budget, we only have $400 appropriated in the debt service fund budget to cover that fee. So asking the board to approve the district going to the county council and requesting an additional appropriation for that $350 to cover that this year's agency fee, so we can get that bill paid this year and on time. So, full transparency, in the interest of timing and working with the county council, I have gone ahead and submitted the agenda request for the county council to get this on their agenda for, I believe, their November 28th work session. Does that sound right? Yeah. And a pendant of course, on the board approving this resolution. If you choose not to approve the resolution, we'll withdraw that agenda request.
Well, it sounds like we have to pay it.
We're going to have to pay it one way or another, yes.
Great. Okay, any questions from the left? From the right? Or from Zoom? I assume that we have no say over these fees at all. I mean, they can raise them, and we don't really have any recourse other than to refinance them.
And as the 2024 budget is already done and adopted, we will have to request the same appropriation at some point next year. October, November seems to be the time frame that those invoices come in, and we pay this every year.
Got it. Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of Resolution 2023-22 for an additional appropriation in the debt service fund.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments from directors? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. All right, and we will move on to the CAC report.
Joseph Winia here again, Chair of the CAC. We actually had a very light last month following our very full preceding 2 months, and we're pretty much at this point just looking at opportunities for growing membership for the CAC, and particularly taking advantage of the rebranding opportunity to maybe use some messaging to promote involvement in the CAC as well.
Where are you recruiting, or what are you? Yeah.
We have not yet begun the process, and this was sort of what is sparking the conversation, and that's what our hopefully next meeting will contain, is some more concrete decisions on how to go about the process.
Okay. And how many members are you looking for in general?
Gosh, I think we're at 6 presently, and we have had, I think, 11 at our peak. So at least a couple more would be good, and also just promoting awareness in case others are interested down the road.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll definitely start asking around. So.
But
Yes.
just to note for the record, the resolution that establishes the CAC caps the membership at 15.
15, okay. Correct. Great. All right, questions? Yes.
Well, this may be very obvious, but I would just recommend maybe inquiring with O'Neill Spia, and that school at IU would be a good place to recruit students, maybe to serve on the CAC for a few years.
Yeah.
That could be a great experience for them and give some energy, useful energy to the CAC. So that's just a recommendation.
Noted, thank you.
All right, thank you. Other comments or questions on the CAC? All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right, we will move on to department reports.
We'll start with administration, and as I've kind of alluded to or mentioned a couple times already, the 2024 budget was unanimously adopted by the county council on October the 17th. So we have that done. In the memo on page 55, the second bullet item under general updates, we mentioned before, we issued a request for quote for food waste collection services to try to pick up some of the slack created with Earth Keepers ceasing operations, and we did not get any responses to those. I did have some discussion with our legal counsel and did get an opinion from him this week that since we did not get any responses to the RFQ, but 2 of the entities that we were talking to expressed interest in the project, but for their own reasons could not or did not submit a quote by the deadline, that legal counsel felt that we would be fine just going out and directly engaging with those 2 entities to see if we could come to some agreement and who we thought provided the best opportunity for the district if an agreement was reached to move forward with. So we'll work on doing that, and hopefully we can get something worked out to present to the board in the near future so that we can get that practice up and running again in Monroe County. So
Thank you.
And then just also noted there in the third bullet point, now that we have, I guess we jumped the gun a little bit, but assuming that the name change resolution would be approved, we have started working with Lambert Consulting on the next phase of the rebranding, which is developing the media campaign to get it out there, what we're doing and who we're going to be and what that's going to look like moving forward. So, and with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Questions from the right? From the left?
I do have one question, and this is related to the Effect TV summary. I raised this actually yesterday at the commissioners meeting about a different situation. Do we know what the potential reach is on that? Because if Effect TV is for the television advertising at least, not the digital advertising, but the television, if that is all through Comcast, it seems to me that Comcast customers the numbers are shrinking. I'm just wondering how effective it is actually.
Well, actually had some similar discussions to that ourselves. We have not met with Comcast yet to look at what we're going to do for 2024. One of the big questions has to do with the premium digital advertising that we're doing through them, and what platforms does that go? Is that strictly if you're not on Comcast Internet, you're not seeing it, or do they have agreements in place with any of the cell companies, with Smithville Communications on their fiber lines and stuff. So that was one of the questions we were going to ask Comcast, and because that's I'm sure that we're all aware cutting the cord is a trend. So us being able to get our message out on the whether it be through the cell phone services or various internet service provider platforms. That's the direction that we need to look, and we've had those discussions, and that is something that we intend to look at.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I should really, I should know the answer to this, but I mean, we already have social media campaigns, right? I mean, on Facebook, on Nextdoor, do we?
Yeah, Facebook and X. We have a presence on both of those.
Nextdoor?
No,
No.
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that might be worth considering that as well, because that's a lot of local folks, a lot of residents participate in that.
And I think those are, some of those are things that will come out, working with the consultant on the media campaign for the rebranding, and where are they recommending that we, put things related to the rebranding, and then us looking at, is that an area, an avenue that we want to continue having a presence on beyond just announcing a rebranding.
All right. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to more department updates.
I think Mr. Long would be next.
Hi, everyone. I will start with the recycling and reuse. It's operating as normal. There's nothing really strange going on right now. Everybody's working hard and just getting ready for the holidays and winter time because we know what's coming. The Green Business Network, Kayla Strand has put together our first GBN newsletter. We're sorry we didn't get one in the packet. It just wasn't quite done yet. We will have one next month for you guys. We started emailing them out, and within 30 minutes of the first one, we've got great responses from one of the businesses, some of the stuff that we are trying to do with that. And the rural recycling centers, and the main site, I guess, we have started sending all of our glass to Rumpke, and so far everything is going very smooth with that. They are also doing the hauling. And that's really all I have right now. So if you guys have any questions, I will be glad to answer them.
Great. Any questions? Mr. Long.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the tire recycling program. How busy is that? Do you think the word is getting out?
Yeah, honestly, for me, myself, I think we're doing better than what I thought we would ever do with it. We're averaging 3 to 5 tires a week. I know personally I've only helped pick up a couple tires alongside the road, but obviously they're still out there. But we are seeing a lot more tires come through than what I would imagine. We have done 2 shipments now, and I'd say we're a third of the way full, so we probably get another shipment done first of spring. And that's, last shipment I think was 280 some tires. So if we're sending out 300 tires roughly every quarter or so, we're doing pretty good.
Great, thank you very much.
Yep.
Other questions for Mr. Long? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And is Mr. Paulson there?
Mr. Paulson is at the landfill collecting water samples right now, so I will do my best to fill in. So this beginning of November is the second of our semi-annual groundwater collection windows period. So they're out there doing that right now. Unfortunately, they've had some equipment issues, so they're a little bit behind schedule. But they're certainly, that we have the entire month from items perspective to complete the project, so we won't have any compliance issues related to that. So you can see in this memo, the NPDS reports we still have to submit them even though we're not treating. They've been submitted. The treatment plant is still shut down at this time. Just the dry conditions that we've had. There's just not much water in that leachate collection system right now. So. They're gonna have to look at doing something here in the near future, just because it's hard to get that up and running when the temperature's 30 degrees outside, and so but they can run it slow if they need to. Mr. Polson did complete the required self-inspection at the landfill and did not find any problems or concerns that were reported. The fall mowing has been completed. You can see in the environmental compliance, and adopter road data, the compliance tends to happen, slows down a little bit this time of year when the weather starts to turn. And it's been a while since I've been involved, but from my recollection, doing 10 or 11 adopter road cleanups in October is a pretty good number. That's more than what I remember having. So that's nice to see for the month of October, and maybe the weather had something to do with that. But with that, we'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. McGlasson on landfill and compliance?
Tom, are we currently revamping the treatment facility as far as electronic control, things like that?
Say it again. Revamping what?
So, are we revamping the treatment part of the controls and stuff like that, the electronics?
At the landfill?
Yes.
For the treatment plant?
Right.
We just, I guess the short answer there is no, but we just did an upgrade to some of our, we're on a satellite internet out there. We just did an upgrade to some of the equipment for that internet service out there. And we are rebuilding one of the collection lift stations at the landfill. I think that was referenced a meeting or two ago. When we did the category transfer of funds, we moved some of the capital money at the landfill up into the services and charges category to help fund that lift station rebuild.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what it was, a lift station. Anyways, my question was, how old was that system before we had to replace everything in there? How long do we usually get out of that equipment?
The lift station, how old was that lift station?
Right.
How much do we get out?
See, I'm trying that. It was the lift station was redone 12 or 13 years ago, for I guess for as far as the issue with it is not the equipment, it's not the pumps, it's not the electronics. The issue, this is the lift station that is on the old hill out there, which is a pre-subtitled D hill that had the leachate collection, I guess, created, installed in it after the hill had already been constructed and starting to be filled. So unfortunately, it's a system that collects a lot of sediment. And you get a lot of wear on that equipment, a lot of buildup that restricts flow through the pipes, requires the pipes to be jet rotted, cleaned out on a regular basis. And that's really what with this rebuild, what we're trying to do is to eliminate some of that regular routine maintenance that we have to do just because of the amount of sediment that comes through that system.
Okay, I was just curious on how long everything lasts in there, but I appreciate you giving me the answer you gave. So, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? All right, let's see. So we move on to, I think, public. Yeah, is there any comments from members of the public on items that were not on our agenda? All right, seeing none, are there any comments from directors? I'll begin from the right.
Yeah, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day and thank veterans in our community who have served their country. I know that probably everybody up here is very grateful to those who have served and made sacrifices for our country. The city of Bloomington is hosting a Veterans 5K and 1 mile walk in Switchyard Park on Saturday. You can just drop in, or you can sign up through the city's Parks and Recreation website. It starts at 9 o'clock, so you would have the option to do a 5K run or a 1 mile walk. Being out of shape, I'm choosing the latter. But I just wanted to mention that. The proceeds from that event will go towards health and wellness efforts for first responders and veterans in our community.
Great, thank you. Any comments from directors from my left?
First of all, I want to congratulate Isabel Piedmont Smith on her reelection to City Council. I hope that means that you'll be continuing with us as well. And also at our last meeting, I had indicated I would reach out to now Mayor-elect Carrie Thompson, and she is okay with attending a meeting on the second Solid Waste District on second Tuesday of January. And then we can go ahead and set our schedule.
Great.
So
fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. All right. Any other comments from directors? Seeing none, thank you all. And again, happy Veterans Day. And I'll echo Ms. Piedmont Smith's comments. Thank you for your service. We are adjourned.